All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So, in this one, I really wanted to focus in on some of the biggest question marks that I had for the New York Jets going into training camp in a week? Just over a week now, right? I cannot believe it's here. Granted, the Jets are starting a week early, but man, this offseason flew by. It flew by. So I would love to hear your question marks down below in the comment section because let's face it, whenever you're talking about like an NFL team here, you're looking at so many different facets: defense, offense, depth, talent, positions of need, coaching staff. Just question marks all over the place. Everybody's going to have different question marks as we approach training camp. So again, I would love to hear yours down below in the comments section. Let's start with the first three. I really want to clump them together because these are three things that, I feel like I've talked about a ton, like a lot of Jets fans have been clamoring for literal months now, since like, I want to say the end of the season. The first, extend Quinnen Williams. Where do we stand on that? If Hard Knocks is coming in and they're going to be filming, that's obviously going to be a pretty big talking point, a pretty big storyline. I don't want that distraction. I feel like it's a distraction right now, let alone filming it, and it's a weekly show, so we're going to have people talking about it every single week. Where do we stand with the Quinnen Williams extension? I don't want to spend a ton of time on it. To quickly bullet point where I stand on it, this should be a no-brainer to me. We know what the market is. He's a homegrown player. He's coming off the best season of his career. He fits the system. He's worked with Saleh. He's had success with Saleh. He's gelled with the players around him. He seems to only be ascending. And he's still super young. He's not 33. He's not 34 years old. So to me, based off of what Dexter Lawrence got, based off of what Javon Hargrave got and Jeffrey Simmons, we know what the ballpark is going to be. It's not like some record breaking, like, all right, we're going to reset the market here. We have a pretty good idea on what Quinnen should be paid. Number two, the Aaron Rodgers contract restructure. This is another thing that's been talked about for months on end. I mean, we look at the current setup. Everybody knows Rodgers is owed just over $1 million this year, but next year he's owed over $100 million. That's obviously going to change. But the question is when. Is it going to happen soon, this week, before training camp? Is it going to happen during? I don't think it's going to be a situation where it's happening in the regular season. This has to be resolved at some point in time. So hopefully that does get done. And then number three, I want the team to re-sign Quan Alexander. To me, much like the Quinnen Williams thing, I think it makes all the sense in the world. He's coming off a good season. Same points as Quinnen. He knows the team around him. He's gelled with the personnel. He's worked with Saleh before, not only just with the Jets, but with the 49ers, and has had success there. He's coming in on an extremely cheap contract. He's not, unless Quan is asking for like $8, $9, $10 million, which I don't think is the case, or even like 6, 7. I think if Quan is asking for anything under $4 million, we need to sign him like ASAP. And I would make the argument that Quan is actually a better fit with this team this year in 2023 as opposed to last year. Think about the storylines going into last season. It was a young, rebuilding team. What to expect from Zach Wilson in year 2, Elijah Moore in year 2, Saleh and Mike LaFleur, all these guys entering their second year together. It wasn't, we weren't thinking 12 wins. We weren't thinking AFC Championship. We weren't thinking Super Bowl. It's like, can we build off of last season? Can we take steps in the right direction? And by the end of year 2, it's like, okay, hold on a second. The Jets are like a 500 team. They're knocking on the door of the playoffs, getting ready to make a, consistent run at this thing and, hopefully become the next Buffalo Bills, where you have, your franchise quarterback, you have your defense playing well, you have young cornerstones all over the team. Unfortunately, it did not end that way, right? Losing 6 straight, quarterback question marks, players hurt all over the place. And now, after the Aaron Rodgers acquisition, we've shifted gears to being a completely win now team, pushing all of our chips into the middle of the table. Let's go get the 39-year-old Aaron Rodgers, traded away a nice package, took on his deal. The Super Bowl is on my mind. The AFC Championship game is on my mind. Winning this division is on my mind. The expectations are sky high. And because of these offseason acquisitions, because of these offseason moves made by Joe Douglas, we better fulfill these expectations, right? I don't even know what I would do with myself if the Jets finished next season with 8 wins, 9 wins. I can't even fathom thinking about that based off of what the Jets have done so far this offseason. So I'm thinking deep playoff run. I'm thinking let's get to the final dance. And with Quan Alexander, he's a veteran player. He's a win now type of player. Again, cheap 1 year type of contract. He's not this young cornerstone guy coming in on a rookie deal or somebody that you're going to be signing on a four-year contract. I would rather play it safe, get Quan in the building now, as opposed to 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks into the season, saying or beating ourselves up, saying, "Man, I wish we had some more linebacker depth." Right? Too bad we can't go sign Quan now because he ended up signing a contract with whoever, the Steelers. Now, granted, there are some other linebacker options out there like Miles Jack and Rashaan Evans, but at the end of the day, I think Quan makes all the sense in the world. Question number 4 here: will there be any more contract restructures outside of Aaron Rodgers? Right? I'm specifically looking at C.J. Mosley and Corey Davis. 2 guys that have been rumored, hey, will they take a pay cut? Will the Jets ask them to take a pay cut? Will the Jets and Joe Douglas move money that they're owed into the future, which has been a common trend that we've seen from Douglas this season. I think it's a risky game to play, especially when we're doing it this much. You can just go down the list with all these different players. CJ Uzama restructured his deal. Jordan Whitehead restructured his deal. Conklin restructured his deal. There's a lot of players here that you're moving money around, pushing it all into the future. And right now, CJ Mosley is a $21.4 million cap hit with a base salary of $17 million. So essentially, you can take some of this base salary money and push it into the signing bonus, which is what Douglas has been doing. And then we take a look at Corey Davis's number, $11.1 million, base salary $10.5. Now, I'm not saying let's hurry up and do this, right? We have to go restructure these contracts and vice versa. Right? I'm also not saying, oh, we can't touch these deals. We need to leave them as is. Basically, the point is one of my biggest question marks. Will they get restructured? Because this is something interesting. If all of a sudden, right, later today, tomorrow, news breaks, Corey Davis is restructuring his contract, and CJ Mosley, right, is whatever the case is, taking a pay cut, restructuring his deal, the Jets aren't just going to randomly do that for nothing. To me, that would indicate that, hey, the Jets are thinking about maybe adding another piece, make another move here, and just an interesting situation to monitor. Okay, so next, who's going to be carrying the load at the running back position? Obviously, nobody really knows when Breece Hall is going to be officially back, but the expectation is week 1. So in the meantime, right, start of training camp here, it's like, okay, is it going to be Michael Carter as like the team's RB1? Or is it going to be a guy in Bam Knight? 2 players with different skill sets. Obviously, Dalvin Cook is still out. As far as, this current recording, he's still out on the free agency market. Maybe something breaks in the next day or two. But the Jets are interested. He's interacting with Jets fans on social media. It seems like there's interest there. We've had multiple reporters link the Jets to Dalvin, saying that they're doing their homework and that this is actually a real thing. Like, it's not just smoke. But it does feel like the Pats, Finns, and Jets are all maybe better fits. DeAndre Hopkins, though, on the other hand, I do feel like Hopkins fits Buffalo over New England, in Tennessee, and the other teams that have been linked to D-Hop. But no, in any case, running back, I think it's going to be interesting, right? Who's going to be getting the bulk of the snaps early on? Of course, again, we still have a week left. Maybe news breaks with Cook or another running back to where they come in and they're all of a sudden the lead guy. It's not going to be Breece, though. And if the Jets don't make a move, who is it going to be? I think that's going to be really telling. Literally the first week of training camp, who's taking the bulk of the snaps, who's the RB1 early on. I think that'll give us a good indication on who Nathaniel Hackett has set in his eyes as the lead guy to kind of envision going into the season if Breece Hall is not 100% healthy. Okay, so next up is the edge position, right? Obviously, the Jets are like 5-6 deep here. We have a ton of players, a ton of depth, a lot of upside, multiple first-round picks. Carl Lawson will be starting on one side of the 4-3 defensive line, but who's going to be the starting edge rusher opposite of him? It's not that big of a deal compared to like left tackle or right tackle, where those positions aren't getting swapped in and swapped out as we've seen last season. And also, it's just, kind of a fact of defensive football. Guys come off the field, right? What's the package that the offense is running, right? Where are we at in the game? Where are we at on the field? All these different things matter. Pass rushing situations, third and long, stuff like that, fourth and inches. But I'm talking about like the base 4-3 defense. In Ulbricht's eyes and Salah's eyes, who's going to be the starting edge opposite of Lawson? Is it going to be first-round pick Will McDonald? There's a chance. Is it going to be last year's first-round pick Jermaine Johnson? Could it be Bryce Huff, somebody who I would say has a lot of production in a limited role? We haven't really seen a big sample size from Huff. Like he doesn't have 2 starting seasons under his belt. And, this long resume, if you will. But the time that he has been in the games, he's been making a pretty big impact in getting after the passer. Like, he's shown a knack to be able to do that. And also, if we think back, Bryce Huff, he was a 3-4 guy brought in by, I believe, the Greg Williams staff, right, back in 2020. So this is, if you can get after the passer in a 3-4 and in a 4-3 defense, working with completely different coaching staffs and coaching styles, there's something there. So I would not rule out Bryce Huff being the starting edge rusher. We also have to factor in Michael Clemens, somebody who, and I talked about this in a video I posted the other day. Clemens he's one of my favorite players on the team because he reminds me of like one of these old school players I grew up watching on the defensive side of the football. Hard-nosed, really values the physical part of the game, physically dominant, right? Really wants to make his presence known. That's just my type of player. So I would love to see him, get out there and really make an impact. There's a lot of guys. The good news, I really don't think the Jets could go wrong with all these talented guys competing against each other. I think the best will rise and the Jets will put the best one out there, obviously. But what's really cool is that it's not, that edge rusher. He's not going to be the number one edge rusher that has to go get the double-digit sacks. That's Lawson's job. What about the inside? We have Quentin Jefferson. We have Quinnen Williams. Okay, Al Woods to stuff the run. We brought back Solomon Thomas. What's going on with John Franklin Myers? Is he going to be lining up more so as an edge or on the inside? He's going to be doing both, but where primarily is he going to line up? The Jets have pass rushers all over the place, and I expect a ton of sacks and quarterback hits this season. Okay, so next up is simple, but it is frankly crucial. It's health. Think about all the building blocks that the Jets had, all the young players that the Jets were counting on last season, all missed significant time, all, missed time with pretty serious injuries here. It's not just a minor thing. Oh, he missed a week. Oh, he had to come out in the second quarter and he was back by the fourth quarter. I mean, we had season-ending injuries all over the place. In the case of Max Mitchell, it wasn't so much an injury, more so a medical situation with the blood clots. He missed obviously played in the first section of the season, but missed the remaining, 10 weeks? AVT, season-ending injury. Breece Hall, season-ending injury. Mekhi Becton, season-ending injury. Dwayne Brown missed a lot of time with the shoulder. We were just banged up. We were banged up last season. So hopefully, the Jets enter this year, everybody outside of Breece Hall, because of course, exception here, but based off of rehab and timetable, everybody's coming in locked in and loaded. When you look at a guy in Mekhi Becton, somebody we haven't really seen in 2 years essentially, it's going to be eye-opening, right? First of all, is he going to be lining up primarily at left tackle, battling for that starting spot, or are the Jets going to focus him more so on the right side? That's a question in and of itself, but Becton's one storyline, AVT. We got a lot of talented players here that are going to be relied on heavily for this season. I'm hoping the Jets don't put too much on their plate and they're rushing it back. I don't think they will. But yeah, health of players, I think it's absolutely critical. It is crucial for the overall success in 2023. Next up is the positional battle at center. Joe Tippmann, Connor McGovern, are they going to go with a rookie, second-round pick who projects well into the system, somebody who has a few years of experience, a solid resume back at Wisconsin, coming in from the Big Ten, a conference known for pumping out solid NFL-ready offensive linemen? Or are they going to, and by the way, consider pretty much the number one or number two center in the class? That does mean something to me for sure. especially when we look at the track record of high caliber starting centers coming out of college that are thought of as first round picks or second round picks. We're talking Tyler Linderbaum with the Ravens, Creed Humphrey with the Chiefs, Garrett Bradbury with the Vikings, three guys that instantly came in and just started producing right away. So Tippmann, I would not be surprised if he's going to be the starter whatsoever. There's a lot to like there. Or are they going to go with the veteran, Connor McGovern, who knows the offensive line, who's seen his fair share of defensive lines. He knows what it takes to get the job done. We kind of know what to expect with Connor. Maybe the coaching staff is like, hey, we love Tippmann, but a year on the bench won't kill him. He has 3 more years left on his rookie deal. He'll take over next season, right? Let's play it safe with Aaron Rodgers. We don't want to risk a rookie mistake from the center position. The player that's ordered to snap Rodgers the football. We know how much of a big facet it is in the pre-snap area of the offense with Aaron Rodgers, the hard count. If we have rookie mistakes at that position, we don't want to be the ones, trying to catch the defense off guard, but we're getting false starts or having, early snaps. I'm not saying Tippmann is prone to doing that or anything, but, with a veteran center out there, you can maybe make the argument, well, hey, he's seen this before. He knows what it takes. There's going to be less chances of, crazy things happening, rookie mistakes. So the center battle, I think, is going to be huge to watch. And last but not least, quarterback 2. Will Zach Wilson, Tim Boyle, Chris Streveler, let's throw him in there as well. The Jets have 4 quarterbacks currently on their roster. Who's going to separate themselves as the backup, the defined backup quarterback? I think the Jets want it to be Zach Wilson, obviously. But you know what? I think Saleh has reached the boiling point, the tipping point, if you will, where he's like, you know what? We obviously the team, we drafted you second overall, and we've seen some flashes. We love the physical upside, but if you are going out there and the practices are just not that impressive, and Tim Boyle is running the offense more effectively, the players are responding better to Boyle, I would not be surprised to see Tim be the backup, or really Saleh to make that decision, that coaching choice, which is the responsible choice. We saw him make a tough decision last year, putting Mike White in the lineup. That was a hard thing, and he got a lot of flack for it at the time from a lot of people, a lot of support too from the other side. But at the end of the day, this is about wins. This season is about wins. Get to the playoffs, have playoff success. So QB2, it's going to be absolutely massive. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, go Jets.